Welcome to Beyond the Glory, the podcast that takes you deeper into the untold stories, raw moments, and defining victories that shape the world of sport. I'm your host, John Walland, and each fortnight I bring you candid conversations with athletes, coaches, and trailblazers who go beyond the headlines to reveal the real grind behind the glory. What an absolute pleasure to catch up with a gentleman I've known for many, many years. Always looked up to, always aspired to, have never been able to do a flick-flack as agile as Breyton can do. And I suppose you can still do those flick-flacks now, I would imagine. Do you ever get called upon at a party? Welcome, by the way, to Beyond the Glory, Breyton. It's lovely to chat to you.
Johnny, thank you so much for having me, man. These days, if I attempt a flick-flack, the possibility of a hamstring tear is very possible. So, I choose not to do it, Johnny. Although I get, I get challenged
requests
a lot at rides and parties and all these places,
Yeah. And you don't want it to go wrong, that's for sure. One's got to be careful as you get a little bit older. But I suppose
Absolutely.
when you look back and you reflect and somebody maybe gives you a bet and says to me, Breyton, I'm going to pay you X amount, would you ever maybe consider it? Or is
No,
it
Johnny. I think health, as we get older, it's of paramount, it's very important.
Yeah.
I live by two things, health and happiness. I think that you don't compromise because at the moment, as you know, we live in a country where there's a lot of challenges, if I can put it that way. And that's why for me, I'm always getting humbled by people and by our communities. So as long as I can put a smile on people's faces and be happy, I think that will be so good for your mental well-being.
I love that. And it often crops up, and I know you're as fit as well, and you keep fit. Expect a call up from the Springbok squad one of these days. The old joke.
No chance.
But I was chatting to a guy the other day. I was doing a mountain bike event, and what cropped up, which is so important and something that I've always emphasized, is keep moving. And he said movement is the most important thing. And let's be quite honest. I think if we were to encourage people who maybe don't exercise and movement is really the key, isn't it, Breyton?
It is, Johnny. You're talking about mountain bike, and mountain bike is also one of my favorite disciplines. So in fact, soon I'm doing the go-to-berg from Joburg to Drakensberg, which I'm looking forward to. But again, I always say to my friends as well, because let's be honest, when family life begins, it's very tough to jiggle everything, to get the puzzle sorted every day. I think between husbands and wives and kids, it's always difficult for the average family, So I say to them as well, guys, you don't have to cycle or you don't have to run. Just go do a walk with the wife or just keep active. Do something, because ultimately that, between your busy hours and whatever you need to do, it's so good for the psychology of the mind. And if you don't do that kind of stuff, you just focus on work and obviously focus on the family, I think sometimes you become frustrated as well, because ultimately, you will get into a hole. And that's where I feel, for me, with all my traveling all the time, and I travel quite a lot at the moment, but just to get on the bicycle and go do an hour and just get sort of, rid of that frustrations on the bicycle, for me, that is really, really super.
Yeah, when did you actually start to take up cycling, Breyton? I remember it seems like quite a while back now, but you've excelled really on that in that discipline as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been a couple of years. I think most of us all started before COVID, and it's been a wonderful journey. It's been a fantastic journey. I've met some great friends along the way, friends that I never would have thought if I didn't, started cycling, and, met some great people in great companies as well, that also give back. So especially through charity as well. It's a wonderful vehicle. Just to give back, I've done a couple of Ebikes and always done it for cancer, for instance.
Yeah.
But it's a wonderful tool to get people active and to get involved, and also use that medium to give back to the communities.
I love what you say, doing for a purpose. That's so important. And I think whatever you can embark on, if there's a purpose as opposed to individual satisfaction and that sort of thing. It's all about doing it collectively to help others, isn't it? And that's great that you're doing that sort of thing. Do you e-bike or normal bike? I know that
I'm not on the e-bike yet, Johnny. So
I must tell you, my son, we went up to a place in the Waterberg, and we didn't have our bikes. My wife and my son, who, as you know, is turning 18 this month.
Yeah.
But they loaned us e-bikes. and they were specialized. And I tell you, I have never, ever ridden an e-bike in my life. Neither has my wife nor my son. You know what happened afterwards, Brady? We had such a lovely weekend. My son said to me,
Wow.
he wants an e-bike. I said, you're not
Oh,
getting one at
wow.
18.
No,
18,
not
no.
yet, Johnny. Yeah, he's far
No,
too young.
not
He's
yet.
far too young for that. Yeah,
Far too
I
young,
mean, listen,
exactly.
yeah, e-bikes got their place, and I understand that. And especially with the
Yeah.
guys who are really, really strong, who sometimes only have limited of time, and then now they can take their wives with when they can, obviously, get their wives e-bikes as well. And I mean, it's very popular. It's growing fast, and I've done some wonderful races. One, for instance, the Wines to Wales, where they literally have an e-bike category, which is fantastic. So I think there's
Wow,
certainly a
lovely.
place for it.
Yeah, certainly a place for it. Brady, tell us more or less now in terms of your activities. When I used to chat to you, I always used to see on the golf course and that sort of thing. Are you spending a lot of time playing golf as well as doing all the other activities that you are so involved in, or is it less now?
Yeah. No, Johnny, I must say, sadly, the golf has taken a back seat purely because, you can't do all these activities all the time. So I've been very fortunate. I mean, this cap that I'm wearing, the one show that I'm involved in, Talks and Chops, we had our golf day last week at Sun City. It was such a joy.
Yeah.
So these days I only play when I have to play, for obviously charities that I'm involved in, or friends who really sort of, like really almost force me to come and play with them. So yeah, unfortunately, golf is not that important for me anymore. So I'm lucky if I play once every 2-3 months, these days. Whereas before cycling, I used to play every week. So now for me, I do like the occasional golf day and a fun golf day. It's much better to play with me these days because I used to be very competitive on the golf course, but now I just go out and have fun and have a lach with my friends, whoever I play with, and that's been fantastic.
We know that Gary Player often is around with President Donald Trump. Is there any particular person that you would love to have a round of golf with? Anybody that you aspire to look up to? Somebody that you would love to just be able to get a round in with?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Gary is legendary, and what he's done for
Yeah.
golf and what he's achieved in golf. I mean, he's just a superhuman. The way how he carries himself in terms of his fitness and his aura. But I have to say, one man, and I was fortunate enough to be invited by Gary, some of his golf days that he had over the years. I mean, those were really special, John. I tell you what, if you get an entry or invite, please, just leave everything else and go to that invite. But I think many people would like to play with a guy like Tiger Woods. I think he's just been so good for the game, and he was at his peak. He was just a phenomena, and it is just special, for him. Sadly, obviously, what happened to him the last couple of years in terms of his accidents and all that kind of stuff. But you can't take away what he's done for the game and how massive he's become in the game.
No, indeed. Brady, I know that you had a podcast. There's so many podcasts out at the moment, aren't there? You must be inundated with wanting to do podcasts. I mean, do you have one yourself yet?
No, not yet.
No,
I mean,
I thought not
it
because
is.
everybody
Yeah,
would have
no.
known.
I leave
Maybe
it. I
when
leave
you
it
get
to you
older one
guys.
day and you retire.
Yeah, I leave it to you guys. But I must say, one that I really enjoyed was with Rassi Erasmus, and me and Rassi
Yes.
had a great. I mean, he's got his own podcast, and it's so
Yeah.
nice that he can, just phone up ex rugby friends and talk to them about life, not just rugby. I think sometimes we forget that rugby is a sport that we all love, but there's so much more to life than rugby, and I think what Rassi is doing really, really well when you focus on things that people don't really know about you in terms of just other stuff like you said, me playing golf or cycling or whatever I'm doing. And I think that is more the trend that the guys in the podcast, the sort of arena, must go into.
Yeah, well, with Beyond the Glory, I really love that particular aspect of what I'm doing with my podcast, and nice to be able to find out, a little bit off the field, behind the post kind of thing, what
Yep.
everyone has been up to. And I mean, we all have a story, don't we, at the end of the day? And it's amazing when you hear what comes, out from some people you speak to. You're absolutely amazed. I mean, I think we all need to show possibly empathy and understanding towards a person before we make judgment.
Yes.
It's almost like that.
Absolutely.
walk in a man's shoes for 100 k's before you cast judgment. Not say everyone's got someone and something to tell, and in some instances maybe even fighting a battle, Brady.
No, true, Johnny. You know what? It's so true what you are saying, and I can just echo, in what you're saying in terms of people are quick to judge, unfortunately, and that's how society unfortunately operates these days. Social media obviously has played a massive part in nation building at some points, but then dividing as well. Unfortunately, that's a sad reality. So we quick to point fingers and judge, and we must be very careful when it comes to that kind of stuff, because you never know what a person is going through, whether it's personal or whatever the case may be. So rather refrain from making these weird and rude statements before you take on somebody. Nobody's going to win in a situation like that. And I know the world has become a bit of a crazy place, but I always say, as long as there is hope, especially in this country, we must hang on to that hope.
Yeah. Brady, let's go back to you as a person. Take us back to those early days. Wow. I mean, what a role you played, and certainly, the role that rugby, what you did in terms of Walland, what you starting off there, shaping your dream of becoming a Springbok. Take us back to those early days.
Yeah, Johnny, I mean, it's been a wonderful adventure. It's been an incredible journey. And it all started on the farm, in the Bokkerveld where I grew up. And my mum was working for the boss of the farm, the farmer. And, just in short, I mean, I've told the story many a time, but just in short, obviously when I got to matric, I was at a crossroad in my life. And obviously coming from where I come from, never really had the parents the money to send the kids to university. And so, Mr. Charlotte Toy, the farm owner, called me in and he asked me, geez, Brady, what are you going to do next year? So I said to him, geez, I don't know, maybe if you can give me a job on the farm, because it's a trend, I'll take that. And he looked at me and he made me a little bit nervous. And then after a little while, he gave me a stern talk in terms of wanted me to maybe think outside of my little, sort of comfort zone in the Bokkerveld. Yes. And then he said to me, Johnny, you know what, Brady, I've seen you growing up. Your mom has been with us for many a year, and you've done well in your homework, done well in your sport. And then he said that, he's going to sponsor me to go to Stellenbosch University. And man, I mean, that was, for me, that was probably the biggest day in my life, because I didn't know that somebody who's so busy and really, like, obviously he's a big farmer. He needs to run his farm, and I didn't know he was like keeping an eye on me, because like I said, my mom was working for him, and I was playing with his one son always with the ball in the park. And then he gave me this massive opportunity. So that opportunity that day, Johnny, needless to say, opened the world for me, and that's where it all started. So still today, I'm so grateful for that day and that opportunity. But then again, especially for kids out there who get these opportunities, I have to say that it wasn't all plain sailing, because it's difficult. Because once you take on that kind of journey, a high level stressful journey, there will be roadblocks, if I can put it that way, and it's how you deal with those roadblocks and manage those roadblocks, because it will be sunshine every day. There will be some storms that you need to navigate, and it's so important that if you get an opportunity and if you focus on a goal that you want to achieve, just be mindful that it won't be that easy. If everything was easy, we all would be, I would suppose, billionaires today, or Springboks today. So sometimes there's an easy road and there's a hard, tough road. And if you take the tough road, it's so rewarding when you get to the other side. So just keep pushing and make sure that you're realistic with yourself, and don't really base your journey on what other people say. I think that's very important, because when I got into the mix and I started playing well, journalists were saying, no, Brady's too small, he's not really gonna make it. But I mean, for myself, it wasn't about what journalists say or what people say. For myself, it was about self-satisfaction. I wanted to do well for myself. I wanted to be the best version of myself, and I wanted to make sure that I got to my goal on my terms, and doesn't matter how I get there. I had little plans in place, and ultimately, Johnny, when you stick to your journey and you believe in your journey, anything is possible.
Yeah, beautifully put. Did you always play in the wing, or did you play in other
No,
positions when you started?
yeah, no, Johnny. So for my school, I was very fortunate to be the head boy of my school, and I was
Very
always
nice.
the playmaker. I was a number 10. I was a fly off, And when I went to Marty's as well, when I got the opportunity at Marty's, I was fly off, so I could kick very well. But I think how it happened, I think my rise was a bit too quick and too soon for the coaches at Western Province as well, because I was playing really well at the time for Marty's, and then they wanted to give me an opportunity, and then at the time I remember Louis Kuhn was the fly off, and he was settled as well, and then they said no, Brady, you must come play, and so I started off by playing on the wing and number 15 for a fullback for Western Province and the Stormers ultimately, and then I just they got me stuck on the wing.
What are your feelings in terms of Rassie's the hybrid policy? I think it's wonderful. I mean, when you see someone come onto the field, they can play in all different positions. Do you see that's the
Yeah.
way the way going forward, Brady?
Yeah, I think obviously Rassi's got a lot of tricks, and he always find
Yes.
ways to innovate, and I think that's the way the game is going. You need to innovate, you need to surprise people at some point if you want to be successful, and he's been doing it for the last couple of years. He's always a step ahead of I would say a lot of the coaches in the world. Obviously, most times it comes off. Sometimes it won't come off. But it's wonderful to see. It's something new for rugby, because rugby, looking at rugby generally, has been very conservative, and especially in South Africa. So what he's done is so ahead of his time, and I think it's wonderful for the game as well. I mean, the hybrid is one thing, but ultimately you still want to win games. You still want to make
Yeah.
sure that let the main thing stay the main thing, and make sure that you grind out a victory. Like for instance, we got massive games coming up. I mean, there's a game not so far, like playing the All Blacks again, and lots have been talked about this game, and because of the history and tradition, and because of how good and how Eden Park has been a fortress for the All Blacks of recent times. I can't even remember when last a team, I think, beat them there 40 years ago. I think the Boxer last time beat them in 1937.
Yeah.
So, and therefore, that's why Rassie, I mean, to bring in a guy like Tony Brown, for instance, it is wonderful, because now we got that, obviously, that strong fired up forwards, and now he's trying to add a bit of attack. Yes, we've seen against the Wallabies that backfired a bit, because we're still getting used to the Tony Brown ball, like people call it. But at the end of the day, at least if it fails, you have something to fall onto, which is our normal bullying, suffocate and strangle people, and just build scoreboard pressure. And he's got the personnel. He knows now. He got a Andre Pollard who brings calmness to the team. When he wants to play a attacking game, he's got a Mani Libok and Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu. So there's many options. But I think for now, this year, it's going to be obviously a testing year, because I think all of these is loyal statesmen, so to speak. They are, some of them are getting a little bit older, and at some point, Rassie is going to make the unpopular calls to unfortunately, to bring in or fast track the youngsters quickly to take those guys' places, because you don't want to go to the World Cup, with guys who's got the experience but who are a little bit off the pace of that intensity and that level.
Yeah, I would say that weekend that we all had to endure, where
Oof.
cricket's lost and the cricket
Don't
was lost,
remind
and
me,
then we
Johnny.
lost against the Wallabies. Isn't it amazing how this country? I mean, we are absolutely passionate, and we kind of we don't accept losing. But at the end of the day, I think that sometimes maybe it's a good thing to lose, because it
Yeah.
actually maybe jolts you, gets you back into thinking, complacency can set in and that sort of thing. So I don't really, I personally don't have a problem if we lose one or two games. We
Yeah,
can't
yeah, yeah.
win every single game,
Yeah,
surely.
of course. I think, Johnny, just the way we lost. The way we lost,
Yes,
we
yes,
were up
yes. The
22-5 in
way we
20 minutes.
lost, yeah.
And then those guys
Yeah,
came.
yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't seen like an angry Wallaby
Ridiculous.
like that in a very long time. Let me tell you. I think people were taking out their phones and started googling what scores is going to be. After 15
Yes,
minutes,
yes,
they like,
yes,
here's a
yes.
big item coming, and then you got to give credit to the Wallabies and Joe Smith and his team, the way they came back. They absolutely stunned us, and it was a dark weekend for us in terms of the mood and the feel of the country. I remember I saw the boys. We were working the game, and I saw the boys coming off, and also from previous experiences when we've lost, Johnny, it's a most horrible feeling in the world. Let me tell you, the guys don't even go out. You just want to go and sleep and think that this was a scary dream, but it is what it is. Like you say, looking back now, it's maybe a blessing and a good thing that we've lost. So Rassi know now that there's work to be done, and there's certain tweaks that he needs to make that something like that never happens again.
Getting back to you, I remember when you made your debut when it was in 1999. What kind of pressures did you face there? I mean, during representing the Springboks for the very first time, the pressures and the responsibility.
Yeah, Johnny, I think once you become a Springbok, pressure becomes automatic. Unfortunately, you had to learn very quick because it is such a privilege, and not a right to be a Springbok. And I always say to guys who come through the system, play every game like it's your last game. You never know what's going to happen next week or the week after or whatever it may be. But let me tell you, the Springbok culture is one of family values. It's one of almost like giving hope to people that are not in that wonderful, sort of position that we are. And I think that even in the tough times, that's always been the mantra of the Springboks. And I think the pressure will automatically come, and if you can't handle it, you're not supposed to be there. So unfortunately, everybody is different, and everybody's unique, and everybody handles the pressure unique. But for me, I just couldn't believe that I got to that stage where it was such a massive honor for me that I couldn't wait. I remember I slept so badly that whole week, Johnny, because of the excitement and the nerves.
Yes, I'm sure.
It was such a special day, and it's something that you work for. People obviously don't always understand the hard work that you put in behind the scenes and some of the sacrifices you made to get to that point. And I think once you get the call up, ultimately it's such a relief and a wonderful, wonderful honor.
Do you remember quite a bit about that debut that you made in 1999?
Yeah.
Maybe you want to share?
No, of course.
How nervous were you? Phew.
Yeah, no, I was very nervous. I was very nervous and very excited at the same time. And obviously, my family came down. Mr. Dwayne and his family came down to Kabega. Those days, obviously, it was PE, and then we played the Boete Erasmus Stadium. And I was very fortunate, Johnny. And that's where that flick flack also started. I mean, obviously, going through the motions, driving with a bus, getting to the field, you see everybody, it was, for me, it was like such an eye opener. I've never experienced something like that. And also, starting there, getting onto the field, singing the national anthem, it's all special, and it's such a blur. And then I got obviously I got the start, and I got my first try, and then my second try, and then the third try, and then the emotion, just burst out, and that's where I just went and did a flick flack. I didn't even know afterwards what I'd done because it took me back to my farm days, and because all of our boys who used to play on the farm, we did flick flacks. There was like almost 20 of us, and we all could do flick flacks. And then afterwards, when I did the flick flack, I was like, man, what did I do just now? So it was a kind of a very instinctive, sort of emotion that came out of me.
I love that emotion. Were you ever told to sort of curb it and to hold back on it ever?
No, I must say the coaches were fine with it. All the coaches that I played under, and I played under many, Johnny. It's more, the tunnies at the airports or the hotels. They, they were like, Breyty, jy gaan jou nek breek, los daai flick flacks.
Absolutely wonderful. Yeah. So, are you looking to connect your brand with South Africa's top sporting stars? Icon X 360 is your go-to commercial talent management agency, turning elite athletes into powerful brand ambassadors. From endorsements to appearances, digital campaigns to strategic partnerships, we maximize value for both talent and brands. I mean, you scored some spectacular tries in your career as well. Is there any particular try, Breyty, that stands out above the rest?
Yeah, I mean, I've had, as a winger, you want to score tries, and I've scored plenty in my life. Very fortunate to have done that, with all the teams that helped me to get those tries. Ultimately, it's a team effort, and then most of the times the wingers, get the ball and they put the ball over the line. But I have to say, one try specifically was very significant for me. It was a third playoff against the All Blacks, that mighty All Blacks team, with Carlos Spencer, Jonah Lomu, Tano Manga, Christian Cullen, just to mention a few. And they were the favourites for '99, and then they lost against France, in England, where it was look and such a shock to the rugby world. It was just an amazing game. And then we also lost obviously against Wallabies, where Markram had that Vurvur drop goal, who sort of put us out. And then I literally was holding bags at the whole World Cup. And then when I got the opportunity, obviously I wanted to just to show my worth. And then I scored the only try in the game. I remember Percy Montgomery had 2 drop goals, but I scored the only try against a really star-studded All Black team. And into that game as well, the morale was very low because we just lost the semi-final. And the All Blacks were obviously also angry, And it's also a game nobody wants to play. But I was fresh. I was holding bags the whole 6 weeks, at that World Cup, '99 World Cup. And then when I got the opportunity, I just pulled something out of the red. I had a chip and chase, another chip and chase, another chip and chase. And then I scored the only try, because it was important there for me just to revive my career, because until then I only played about 5 or 6 tests. So it was very early in my career. But that moment for me, Johnny, was quite significant.
I know you've played under numerous coaches. So what was it like playing under Jake White and Nick Mallett? I mean, were there anything in their terms of style, anything different?
Yeah, no. I mean, obviously with Nick was quite hectic in terms of discipline and guys obviously trying to get the best out of the guys. And I think that worked for him because he was very successful in terms of how he wanted things to be done. And then coming to Jake, I really enjoyed playing under Jake for a long time. I think Jake was a little bit less tense. He wasn't as tense, and he gave a lot of accountability to the players. He certainly also, Jake was also very much for me ahead of his time at the time, and then that's why I think we won the World Cup ultimately, because you remember the year before the World Cup, it was dark times for the Springboks. We lost almost every game. A point in when Jake had to come fly back for 1 or 2 days to come meet with Saru, and they almost fired him. Thank goodness they kept him on, and then when the guys went to France, they won the World Cup. So I must say, Jake, you must remember Jake took over a time when we were at a very dark place. I remember the years before it, we were trotting along, but we just couldn't win games. And then when Jake took over, he literally instantly got the boys to fire. He got things right, and he just made the guys play against for the batch. And I remember that first year, we beat Ireland. They just came over the Grand Slam. We beat them in Bloemfontein, and then Pretoria, and then we went and won the Tri Nations. So Jake's done exceptionally well, and I've got a lot of respect for him. And it's kind of sad that he unfortunately couldn't win a final when he was now with the Bulls. But again, he's got nothing to prove. He's won a lot of games in his life, and wherever he went, he had a massive impact.
Have you ever thought of coaching? I've often wondered.
No, Johnny. No. But to the guys who's got a lot of patience and a lot of a lot of thick skin, because sometimes it's not easy. So I got a lot of respect for coaches.
I often think as a coach, I mean, they say the one thing that is inevitably will happen is that you probably get fired, or something. It must be really tricky, and I would imagine that if you don't have the buy-in from the players as well, that's equally as tricky, Brady. It's a very fine balance, and similarly, you can't really be a friend of the of players, although you would like to be seen there as their mentor and that sort of thing. It must be a very difficult balance, don't you think?
It's a very, very, very difficult balance to get right, Johnny. And if we look at all the characters, like everybody's got different styles. Everybody's got different ways on how they handle the media, how they handle their players, and it's tough at the top. I mean, it's such a competitive environment. Also, it's not just about coaching. It's about keeping players happy. The guys who, let's say you go on tour for 4 or 5 weeks, the guys who hold the bags, those guys get negative. How do you keep them happy? Guys got personal issues sometimes. How do you deal with that as a coach? Because ultimately, these are people, and you want your people happy. You want them to go out on the field, not having to worry about, like a lot of stuff that happens off the field, ultimately. And that's why I say to you, and you said it as well, that fine balance to get it right. There's no right or wrong, and there's no script, but it's very difficult.
When I was chatting to you a little bit earlier, I was also interested to hear you talk about times of your life, where you basically face those challenges in terms of being diminutive, possibly maybe not, being the hurly-burly 120-kilogram player at the end of the day. But how did you turn that into motivation, Breyty?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, there's certain things in life that you can control, and there's certain things in life that you can't. And it's almost like, let's say we go into a game, you can't control what the referee is going to do in the day. The referee
Yeah.
can have big decisions that has a massive impact on the game, but those are things you can't control. I could only control what I can control, and when I started off, obviously, I was very small, so I had to bulk up and I had to work hard and sacrifice, to get stronger, especially in my upper body. So I had to get that balance right, without obviously losing a lot of speed as well. So those are the kind of challenges. And obviously, at the time when I started playing, I just took over literally after the late great Chester Williams. So at the time, it was a difficult time in South Africa. There was lots of talks about transformation and all that kind of stuff. So I had to deal with that as well. When we went overseas with the box, I had to answer all these political questions. Not something that I really enjoyed, because ultimately I wanted to play for the badge. And for me, it wasn't about what color you are. It was about just giving people opportunity at the time. And then, thank goodness, years later, we in a position where Russia certainly, gave a lot of players the backing and the confidence to go, tell them to go out there and just enjoy themselves and play for the badge. And I'm happy we had a better place today. But those are the kind of challenges, Johnny, that I had to face as well. And thankfully, it worked out. It wasn't always easy. There were tough times, because there were times when I was very frustrated when, some coaches wanted a 120 kilogram winger, and we weren't used to playing sort of a style where we were throwing the ball around, And I mean, thankfully, but at the Stormers, we were playing that kind of game where we were a bit more adventurous and a bit more open to swinging the ball around, and I think that kept me going. And I really had some good times with Western Province and Stormers as well, But obviously with the box, it was always traditionally very sort of a kick mentality, and upfront bullying before we get the ball to the wingers. So, but these days, as you can see, the fences are also very good. But yeah, just in short, that's the challenges I had to face as well.
With all these challenges, and some of them very, very challenging, unusual challenges, had you ever thought of walking away from the game, Breyty? Had there ever been a time?
Yeah.
And if not,
Yeah.
what kept you going?
No, there was a time when I was, like I said, when I had to answer a lot of these political questions.
Yeah.
It was getting to be in terms of, I mean, ultimately you just want to play the game because you want to play for your country. You want to make yourself and your country proud. And yeah, those were the times when I was like, wow, what am I doing here? And then, obviously, I knew that I had to hang in there for generations to come. And for me, it wasn't about me at the time, and it was going to be easier for me to walk away. But I said to myself, no, you need to stick. You need to hang around. You're not doing it for yourself now. It's because generations will come, and make sure that you pave the way after Chester Williams and guys like Tinus Lanier paved the way for you. And that's the only reason why I stuck. And I'm happy that I, through those tough times, stuck around. And I mean, look today. Today when you look at the team, there's lots of representation, and it's wonderful to see the boys getting opportunity.
What was your proudest moment, Breyty, in the book jersey, would you say? I suppose many, but one in particular that maybe stands out?
Yeah, Johnny, there's many, but again, man, I think when you play your first game, because for me it was a dream, and sometimes not all dreams come true. And I mean, when that day arrived, it was special, purely because you never thought that amongst thousands of rugby players in South Africa that you get an opportunity, and given the circumstances at the time, that you get this opportunity. So for me, playing that first game, doesn't matter the opposition. It was a very, very special feat.
If you look back now, how do you think that your career has helped inspire the next generation of players?
Yeah, well, I'd like to think that these guys today appreciate what some of us has done for the game, and especially for the players of color. That we could
Yes.
open the way for them. That it's easier today, and you can see definitely it's much easier for them, which I'm happy about. We've come a long way. So it's not about rugby and sports. Not about especially team sports. Not about the individual journey. So you just obviously try and do and manage what you can do to the best of your ability, and that's what I've tried to do always, and just stay true to yourself. But for me, it really is so satisfying to see when the box run out that there's guys who's certainly getting opportunity, and at the end of the day, it's all about that for me, and I'm happy looking from the outside in that a guy like Rassie Erasmus has given so many players opportunity from all walks of life, and really made this team so special.
Life beyond the field for you, Brady. You've transitioned from rugby into broadcasting and business. How has this whole shift been for you?
Yeah, it's been a wonderful journey, with the ups and the downs. I mean, life is not always perfect, so we all learn every day. I say you're never too old to learn, but it's been
Yeah.
good for me. I've been fortunate, obviously, being involved with super sport as well makes a big difference. We obviously travel around the country. We can still do what we love, and that is really special, for me. At the end of the day, it's about getting yourself into a situation where you really enjoy what you do, and for me, I'm very blessed at the moment, very very thankful and grateful that I'm still actively busy, and people obviously reaching out to you, doing a lot for companies, doing some business with companies and stuff on a regular basis, and yeah, just do it as well as you can, and be grateful for the little mercies in life.
It's always great to hear that you're passionate about giving back to the community as well. I mean, what projects or causes are basically closest to your heart right now, Brady?
Yeah, I mean, Johnny, when I do stuff for my community in the Bokkenveld, especially at the school,
Yes.
obviously you don't want to talk what you do for the school, but for me, as long as I live, I will always give back to my community in the Bokkenveld, especially the school, because there's a massive need for so many things. And whenever I can and I'm in a position to give back, I always try and do that. And I once in a while go to the farm when I can, between work and traveling and all that kind of stuff. But again, there's lots of charities as well, that I'm involved in, and especially the cancer one. They've been really good to me, and they've done some amazing work throughout the year. And there's a lot of volunteers who get no money doing what they do, and it's just incredible, because in South Africa there's a lot of need out there, Johnny. There's people who doesn't even have food at night, and we understand the enormity of those challenges that it's in our country. So wherever you can help, always say you mustn't be sort of linked to one charity specifics. That's why I do
Yes.
across the board where I can help, Johnny. We're not always in the position, but
Yeah.
when we are, it's always wonderful to give back.
I mean, rugby gave you that fame and success, and as passionate as you are, but what would you say the biggest lesson in life, life lesson that it's given you?
I would say again, Johnny, going back to our conversation up till now, is that nothing comes for free. If you want to
Yeah.
achieve something in life, you're gonna have to work
Hard
hard.
work.
It's an old cliche, yeah. It's an old cliche. I had a little thing, that I had on my wall when I was growing up on the farm. It was sort of a quote when I got to high school. It said, "Make it happen." It's almost like
Yes.
nothing's going to happen for you if you don't make it happen yourself.
I love it.
So
Yes.
don't always take. It's life is about give and take. Life is about how much you put in, you will get out, and you will reap the rewards. But if you're going to be lazy and think things are going to happen for you, it ain't going to happen. So I think even today when I look back, that quote for me was so valuable, and I still live by that.
I can still remember I got a ball in '95 from a World Cup ball from James Small, and he had exactly that same outlook as
Yeah.
you did. And the late great James Small, he said, "Make it happen." I'll never forget the
Yes.
explanation mark, and it's a beautiful saying to to abide by and to strive
Yeah.
to achieve. I guess at the end of the day. What
Yeah.
advice would you give to young Brayton starting out today?
Yeah, Johnny, again, I mean, we've spoken in length about a lot of stuff, but for me,
Mm.
it's just to try and be the best version of yourself, ultimately. Not all of us can become Springboks. Not all of us are going to become, like professionals, but whatever you do, try and be the best version of yourself. And then, in years to come, you won't look back in 20 years and say, look yourself, or look into the mirror and say, man, I wish I did that. So, almost like my advice, don't regret things in 20 years' time that you had doubts about now. Do it now, give it a go, and if it doesn't work, there's another opportunity in life that will come your way. But if you feel strongly about something, go for it. Throw all your eggs in one basket, sacrifice, and try and, like I say, be the best version and go for those little goals to ultimately reach, your massive goal. But again, it won't just happen. You're gonna make it happen.
Something that I always learned from you, and millions of others must have as well, is the amount of joy that you expressed on the field. And I think that's something very special. You were a crowd favorite. You were always smiling. But I think at the end of the day, it's having fun. You were fast. You were exciting. But really, the joy was
Yeah,
something that really impressed me.
yeah,
And you were always in a good mood and great spirits. And I think that
yeah,
you were kind of wanting just to portray to people that that's how you need to be. You need to be having
yeah.
fun at the same time.
Yeah, Johnny, I always try to also, do things with a smile as well, and especially in those dark, dark times, nothing wrong with a smile, and the smile costs nothing, So it
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
help and lift the mood as well. So, I know it's not always, possible, but at least try and do what you do with a smile. It
Yeah.
really, it just help the mood and the aura and your presence and that energy around you. You almost like I feed off people and I feed off positive energy, Johnny. Negative energy
Yes.
really makes me sad and morbid, but
Yeah.
try and spread that positive energy across wherever you go.
Oh, that's absolutely beautiful. And I think, beyond the glory, I mean, the fact that we're talking on beyond the glory here, I think beyond the glory means a lot more to you looking down the road. And that's really what it's all about, is giving back, isn't it? And being able to help wherever you can, and inspire others, moreover, the
Yeah,
youngsters.
absolutely, Johnny. And yeah, so for me, yeah, it's life is full of surprises. Life can be hard sometimes, but like I said, if you can control the things that you do well, it can be a little bit easier and a little bit rewarding because ultimately we're all trying to make a living and we're all trying to put food on the table. But just be a nice person, just be a nice
Yeah.
person, and blessings will come your way.
Humble as well. If you could write one message to your younger self before your first game, what would that be? Or is that quite a tricky question? I mean, how would you
It's
want to
very
be
tricky.
remembered as a player and as a person?
No, it's a very tricky question there, Johnny. But I would
Yeah, but I
remember
think
as
you've
somebody.
actually, I think what you've said about the way you are, I think really encompasses
Yeah.
all of that in terms of giving. And
Of
but
course,
anyway,
of course.
maybe.
I think, yeah. No, I think it's for me. It's not about doing stuff for the world. You got to do stuff because
Mm,
you want to do it because your heart is warm and you want to give. If you are in a position to give back, and I just want people to remember me as somebody who had massive respect for your next door neighbor. And just wanted to make a difference in his community, and yeah, that is it, Johnny. Ultimately, we
lovely.
only here for a short time, and let's make the most of it.
Yes, absolutely. Brady, just in terms of one or two off the field things, your favorite music, do you listen to anything in particular that you
Yeah,
like?
Johnny,
Uh,
I like the 80s. 80s music has been
Nice.
good for me, good for my soul. And even when I played rugby as well, the guys obviously put all the earphones in before the game. That was the 80s music. I think for me,
Yes.
man, that's been the best times of my life.
Lovely. Any particular group you've loved or you
I
love?
like the Bee Gees. Bee Gees were, yeah, they were high on my list. The Bee
Mm.
Gees, you know.
Barry Gibb, Morris
I
Gibb,
really,
and all that. Yeah.
oh, I tell you, those guys still do it for me. I still listen to them in my car today. So that was one
Yes.
group that I really enjoyed.
From a family point of view, you've been through a hell of a lot, haven't you, Brayton? And I know that's something that I haven't really touched on, but you know, really tough times for you when you look back and reflect on your beautiful family.
Yeah, Johnny, we had some tough times, man. But thankfully, we a little bit better now. Obviously, losing my mom and my auntie, was a tragic time in our lives, and I mean we obviously still miss them, but sometimes again life will throw you those cruel curveballs, and I mean I probably wouldn't have been able to chat to you about this, but now I can chat about it because sometimes you got to give other people hope too, or people who are in the same situation going through that trauma and pain. It's not easy, and unfortunately it takes time to to get better with it. You just need to learn how to live with it. But yeah, no, we're much better now. And unfortunately, like I said, it is something that happens so sudden and so tragic. It's not always that nobody knows how to handle that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, we just thankful for their time on Earth, and we hang on to those beautiful memories.
Yeah, Breyton, I know I could talk to you for hours, and I really, every time I phone you, you always say, you got to be, and I don't really mean to blow smoke, but I just tell you, you're always wonderful the way you approach the media. You're always there. I see you as a great friend. I've known you for years and years, and I thank you for your great time on Beyond the Glory. It's been an honor and a pleasure for me to be able to chat to you, Breyton. Is there anything maybe I haven't asked you that you just maybe would like to share, or anything that when you...
Yeah. No, Johnny,
I mean, philosophy.
we know we've come a long way, Johnny. We've come a very long way. I gotta say thank you to you as well. Your professionalism always, and your smile and your energy that you pass into people. Keep doing that. And I'm so happy that you're busy with something like this, to tell other people stories as well. And one day, when I get my own podcast, I'm going to get you on as well, because you got a hell of a lot to tell as well. You're such an amazing character. And
thank you so much,
I'm just
Breyton. I can't wait.
with you for the last couple of years.
Well, as you can see, Breyton is the most inspiring person, and it's lovely to be in the company of someone who's positive and who inspires you like Breyton does. Breyton, thank you very much indeed. Do take good care, and I look forward to catching up with you in the not too distant future again. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Glory. We appreciate every listen, like, and share. It means the world. Be sure to follow us on social media and keep the conversation going. And if you haven't already, check out our band link at https://band.link/Beyond Glory, full stop. And that's where you'll find all our latest episodes, platforms, and more. Stay locked in. More inspiring stories and powerful moments are coming your way. Until next time, keep pushing beyond the glory.